And the Bible said he went and washed and came forth seeing. Suppose God sends you somewhere else. Suppose God uses something outside of your tradition.
This is the potter's touch.
We've been sharing a series called Favor Ain't Fair. It's powerful, it's life-changing, and if you receive it and believe it, my God, it'll work for you. Today we're going to share the message, growing up into God's favor. You don't have to start out in it to end up in it. It may not even look like you have it. Your circumstances might be totally contradictory to what you believe, but if you hold on to what you believe, after a while, what you believe will change what you see. Take a look at this. Get your heart ready to be really blessed. Tell somebody, say, whatever it takes, I got to get out of this. Yeah. Whatever it takes, whatever I've got to go through, I've got to get out of this. Whatever I've got, this is past dignity. This is past image now. This is past what you think about me. I've come to a point of desperation. I'm the one who's been blind, walking in the dark, living in the dark, eating in the dark, and now is a chance for my deliverance. Excuse me, put her right there. He spat in the ground, made mud, and put it on his eyes. Incidentally, when you're trying to open somebody's eyes, generally you don't make it worse. But putting mud in my eyes is not a normal progression of causing me to see. Isn't it funny how when you are closest to your greatest miracle, things get worse? Y'all don't know. Is there anybody over here who understands how things get worse before they get better? And if you're a person who's going to give up, this is not for the faint of heart. This is for the tough and the tenacious and the relentless people who can take a licking and keep on ticking and know that things may get worse before they get better. But I've come too far to go back home without getting what I need. Mud and all, I'm in. Now, I wish I had time to do this justice. The Bible said that he mixed spit and mud, spit and earth, and made mud and put it in his eye and told him, go wash in the pool of Siloam. In this statement, you have the whole controversy. Here's the controversy. Jesus sent this man somewhere else to get his miracle, to the chagrin and the frustration of the religious, pious, self-righteous institutions who want to claim ownership. See, generally, people criticize God's favor in your life because they can't claim rights to your accomplishment. If Jesus would have sent him to the Pharisees and the Pharisees could have said they did it, then it would have been all right for him to get healed. But because this man got healed outside of the system, I can't get away from that outside of the system, because many of you recognize that in order to get what you needed from God, you had to break some rules, get outside of the system, go somewhere else. And he sent him to the pool of Siloam and said, go wash yourself in the pool of Siloam. And the Bible said he went and washed and came forth seeing. Suppose God sends you somewhere else. Suppose God uses something outside of your tradition . Oh, I'm telling you, this is good. This is good. See, anytime you get blessed outside of a structured institution or a system, it breeds contempt and resentment because people feel like that they didn't validate it, they didn't authenticate it, and now they're going to fight it because they cannot accept that God did it. But you know that if it had not been for the Lord that was on your side, you wouldn't have been able to do whatever it was that you did. Now, it can be a big thing, it can be a great thing, it can be moving a nation, moving a country, it can be getting your hair done. It doesn't matter what it is. For some people, other people's normal is your miracle, and it took a miracle for God to open up a door for you to get something that the person next to you takes for granted. They drove to church and they didn't think anything about it, but you drove to church knowing that if God had to pull some strings, you wouldn't have had a car in the first place. So there you are shouting over something that they are accustomed to, and they think they're entitled to have it, but you waited all of your life just to get to see this blessing. Oh my God. Let me tell you something. Some of you have been waiting a long time and you're just now coming into your season. And as God begins to bless you, don't you let people intimidate you with their negative carnal saying. You better celebrate the goodness of the Lord and what you know God did in your life. What I like about this man is the condition that started from birth. He lived through it all of his life, but all of the while he was growing up. Is there anybody in here that's growing up? I know that looks funny because we got a little salt and pepper going now. It's kind of late to be saying we're growing up. But how many people know that you don't finish growing up at 21? No, they're not real. How many of you all know that you don't finish growing up at 21? How many of you know that you can be 30 years old and still growing up? Some of us are 40 and still growing up. Some of us are 50 and we're still growing up. We're just now getting to the point now that we don't care what you think. We don't. Woo, y'all don't hear me. I feel like having some church in here by myself. See, you couldn't get the blessing earlier because you'd have been so conscious of what they were saying that you couldn't receive your blessing. But you're finally old enough now that you can be blessed while people are murmuring and complaining and biting and arguing. But all you know is that God worked a miracle. Give God about 30 seconds of praise right now. Touch three people and tell them the time is right. The time is right. The time is right. The time is right. I'm ready now. I can handle it now. I can deal with it now. The time is right. If God would have done it 5 years ago, I couldn't have handled it. But I've grown up now. Now you can zap me with your favor. Now you can release what you have for me. Now I know how to hold it. Now I know how to not blow the job, not blow the favor, not blow the grace. Now I know how to treat somebody in my life. Now I know how to do business in high places. I'm ready now. I don't know who I'm talking to today, but you're just now getting lined up for the favor of God to saturate your life and move. Give God a praise if I'm talking to you. You know, in our country now, they're forever listening for terrorists. And they're listening at the underground communication of the terrorists to see what the plots and the plans are. And when there's a lot of turbulence, a lot of emails, and a lot of interaction, they call it chatter. And chatter gives you an image of a whole lot of noise going on in the room. And when the chatter increases, a lot of times the threat level is raised because the chatter is there. And I want to tell you something. When you're really getting blessed by God, expect there to be a lot of... There will be chatter. You can't be blessed and everybody just sit back and fold their arms and say, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. It's your birthday. I'm not mad at it. It ain't going to happen. It's going to be a whole lot. I don't believe it. I don't think it's right. Who is she to be? Who is he? I know he doesn't think. But in spite of the chatter, if God has blessed you, oh my God, my God. Tell somebody and say, don't let the noise stop you. All the while they were arguing, this man was just looking. Oh my God, there's the sunset. Look at that, that's a willow tree. I never saw the palm tree before. Look at the brook. Look at the water moving in the brook. All the while they're talking. Is this a man? Is this the same man? I don't believe he was blind in the first place. What's he doing getting healed? Did Jesus have the right to heal him? He healed him on the Sabbath day. Isn't there a scripture about that? But sometimes God has to break a rule to bless you. Oh, y'all don't hear what I'm saying to you. I'm going to quit because I feel something about to take over this place. I don't want to wreck a good Sunday morning service, but I tell you, sometimes God has to reach over people who thought they were supposed to get the blessing and say, not you, not you, not you. I want him. And God's favor will snatch you out. So they asked his parents, is this your child? They said, yes. This is our child. He's legit. They said, was he born blind? They said, we can tell you for sure he was born blind. They said, who healed him? They said, we don't know how he got healed. He's of age. Let him speak for himself. Look at somebody and say, I'm of age now. I can speak for myself. They brought the man to the forefront. They said, you mean this controversial Jesus, this water-walking Jesus, this scout about Jesus, this Jesus that doesn't follow rules and doesn't obey instructions, this Jesus that didn't come from our university, this Jesus that wasn't endorsed by our group. You mean he healed you? This man is a sinner. Blind man said, I don't know what school he went to. I don't know what the board of bishops said. I don't even know whether he's a sinner or not. All I know is that I was blind. Y'all don't hear me. It's working for me. Woo, I got to quit. I said it's working. You can debate about it. You can argue about it. You can cuss me out about it. But I came to tell you, if he ever opened up your eyes or open up your mind or open up your finances or open up a job or open up a position for you, I want you to take a moment, if you're of age, and give God praise. Well, 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 well. Well, 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 well. Well, 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 well.
Still to come on The Potter's Touch.
You waited for it. You stumbled around in the dark for it. You made some mistakes. You blew it. Sometimes you did some crazy things, but you're finally growing up and you finally realize you didn't get here by yourself, that God was good to you even when you weren't good to him, and you ought to give him a praise. You might not do it, but you ought to give God.
What arose in America as the biggest event of its kind is back. And now the stage is set.
You have never seen a meeting like this.
Together again at MegaFest 2013.
We're taking over Dallas.
You're going to catch abundance. You're going to catch God's blessing.
Encouraging women.
Peacemaker is somebody who declares war on anything that disturbs their peace.
There is a principle that will cause a shift in your situation.
If he can deliver me, he can deliver you.
Equipping men.
We have more fear in running out than we do faith in running over.
Everywhere my foot treads, claim dominion over it and take it back for the kingdom.
This is going to be big.
Elevated to walk in that destination.
Meet us in Dallas, Texas, August 29th through 31st. Register at mega-fest.com or call 1-800-BISHOP-2 today.
We do it big in Texas. I know I gotta quit, but I feel the anointing of the Holy Ghost in this place. Shake somebody by the hand and say, I'm old enough to speak for myself. Tell them the Lord brought me from a mighty long way. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you say. You can laugh if you want to. But when I think of the goodness of Jesus and all that the Lord has done for me, my soul cries out, hallelujah. Somebody ought to grow up. 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 Somebody ought to grow up and tell them, I don't know what you think, but I was blind and now. I better stop right here. They're trying to get some footage for a special, but I feel like flipping down the aisle, landing in the floor, going in the back door to Watusi, thanking God for what he brought me from. I can see God opening up some stuff now that I waited all my life to see God do in my life. Is there anybody here? You waited all of your life and finally you're about to come into your season. Rejoice and be glad. This is the day that the Lord has made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. Yeah. I'm growing into God's favor. I'm growing into God's favor. I'm growing into it. I'm growing into God's favor. I'm growing into God's favor. I'm out of time, but touch 10 people and tell them I'm growing into God's favor. Favor. Favor on my life. Favor on my house. Favor on my children. Favor on my business. Favor on my education. It's coming. I'm growing into it. I waited on it. I prayed for it. I fasted for it. No devil in hell is going to stop it from coming to pass. I'm finally stepping into God's favor. Finally, it's my time. You had your time, but it's my time now. Shout yes. What? Somebody help him praise him. Ah! Woo! what I'm shouting about? Can you imagine how much better the second half of his life was than the first half of his life? And when you get through shouting about that, can you imagine how much better the second half of your life is gonna be than the first? All of this let me tell you something. Let's lift our hands a moment and just thank God for his favor over our lives. You waited for it. You stumbled around in the dark for it. You made some mistakes. You blew it sometimes, you did some crazy things, but you're finally growing up and you finally realize you didn't get here by yourself, that God was good to you even when you weren't good to him, and you ought to give him a praise. You might not do it, but you ought to give God. The amazing thing, my brothers and sisters, the amazing thing is that all of this happened to a man who was born blind from his mother's womb simply because Jesus passed by. That same Jesus that passed by him and radically revolutionized his life is passing by you today. Suppose Jesus would have passed by and the blind man would have been too stubborn to come out from where he was, or to allow him to put salve in his eye. Or suppose the blind man was too proud to go wash in the pool of Siloam. He says, I want it, but I don't want to get it at that church. I don't want to get it from that preacher. Not that preacher, I don't like him. He's too loud, he sweats, he hollers, I want it on my terms. You know you don't want it. If you really want it, you'll take it however God gives it. Give me a second, I'll be back after this. There's an umbilical cord between provisions and purpose. God doesn't give you provisions just for your own personal gain.
God has taken special care of you every step along the way. Ever wonder why? Because favor ain't fair.
Everything you've got, your talent, your charisma, God gave you those favors for his divine purpose.
When you write us, visit our website or call 1-800-BISHOP-2. You will be given Favor Ain't Fair on 3 DVDs just for helping us reach others with your best gift.
You can't be blessed and everybody just sit back and fold their arms. It ain't gonna happen. It's gonna be a whole lot. I don't believe it. But in spite of the chatter, if God has blessed you,
and when your gift is $89 or more, you will also receive your own Psalms 90 tote bag, the Favor Ain't Fair journal set, and T.D. Jakes Classics Volume 5 DVD series, full of timeless wisdom. You are highly favored of the Lord. Isn't it time you walked in it? It's coming. The biggest family-friendly festival is back. MegaFest 2013.
People are asking me, what is MegaFest all about? Is it a conference? Yes, it's a conference, but my God, it's so much more. I mean, it's festivity, it's fun, it's restaurants, it's shopping, it's people of God relaxing. We've been through the fire, we've been through the flood, we made it. It's time to celebrate.
Bigger, better, grander than before. 3 event-packed days for the whole family.
All types of entertainment for your family, for your kids. We've got materials that men are going to need to cause you to stand up and be powerful, be the man that God has called you to be at manpower. The woman, our Lucy, you already know, it's incredible. I want you to put your family in a spiritual environment and show them that it's fun to be a Christian.
MegaFest 2013. Get your tickets now. Visit mega-fest.com or call 1-800-BISHOP-2.
Throwing a party in Texas. You know what? We do it big in Texas. Somebody in this room has lived your life in the dark. You've had some successes, you've made some accomplishments, but by and large, you've lived your life in the dark. And now the Lord is passing by you and creating an opportunity to radically revolutionize your life and change your situation. Do you have the courage to come out from where you are and go wash in the pool of Siloam and let God touch the issues in your life? Or do you only want what you want from God as long as He leaves you the way you were before? Are you open to change? Would you allow Him to change your life today? I've got to stop there, but it's been a real joy, a real blessing to share the word of the Lord with you. I pray that you would grow up into God's favor, that you would reach the full stature and the full purpose of all that God has for you. And know that there's just this countryman down in Dallas, Texas that loves you with the love of the Lord, and that I am praying for you continually, and I trust you to pray for me as well. I hope you and I can get together again. We can hang out and have fun in the city of Dallas. I'm throwing this massive spiritual awakening. It's going to be an oasis for families who want to have fun in a spiritual environment. It's called MegaFest, and you have an invitation from me. Don't let anybody stop you. Tell them Bishop Jakes invited me, and I'm going to MegaFest. God is going to bless your life, and we're going to have a mighty good time. Until then, I pray you have a great day. I pray you have a great week. I pray that you enter into a season of favor like something you have never seen. Take care.